1 seed. All they'll have to do is either win tonight or next week against Detroit here, or watch the 49ers lose to St. Louis. They're number 1. The Bears, to get to the playoffs, would have to win both of their games here tonight at Minnesota next week, and the Falcons would have to lose 2 games, and then Chicago would wind up as the number 6 seed. Well, a guy who has seen it all, 13 years in the league, been here since 1999, Donald Driver, the Green Bay wide receiver, with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Al, thank you. Donald, 364 days between losses. What was the talk like in your locker room this week as you were reminded what it's like to lose?
Get back to the fundamentals of the game. You know, that was our problem. We went into that game. Maybe we just thought we was going to go out there and win, but we got to get back to the fundamentals. We had a lot of mental mistakes and a lot of drops in that game. We had to correct them. We correct them. Now it's time to play ball.
You need a win tonight or next week to clinch the top spot in the NFC. Why would it be more important to get that done tonight?
Tonight is the night. You know, we don't have a choice. You know, it's Christmas. Everyone's watching, and this is the biggest stage to play on. We're at home in front of our home crowd, and our home crowd wants to win.
Donald, thank you.
Thank you, love. Appreciate it.
And Al, a lot of significant injuries on both sides for these teams tonight.
You bet, Michelle. Take a look at that. Cutler is out, thumb. Forte is out, their top running back. Barber, his backup, is out. Now on the other side, the 2 tackles, Balaga and Clifton for Green Bay. Clifton's been out since October, and Greg Jennings doesn't figure to play until the playoffs. They're leading wide receivers. So some marquee names. Chicago won the toss and they have deferred. So Green Bay will get the ball. Robbie Gould having a good year. That's Randall Cobb, rookie out of Kentucky, who ran a kickback on opening night against New Orleans for a touchdown. Downs it in the end zone. And Rodgers and his gang will go to work from the 20-yard line as we meet the offense.
Aaron Rodgers, California. Brian Grant, University of Notre Dame. John Kuhn, Shippensburg.
Donald Driver, Alcorn State.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Jermichael Finley, the University of Texas.
Marshall Newhouse, TCU.
Evan Dietrich Smith, Idaho State.
Scott Wells, Tennessee.
Josh Sitton, Central Florida.
TJ Lang, Eastern Michigan.
That offense with a reshuffled offensive line. They are 4th in the league in yards, and they lead the league in points. Fake to Grant, roll by Rodgers, a pump fake, and then the pass is caught by Tom Crabtree. Back up tight end, out to the 27-yard line. For Rodgers, just a phenomenal season. I mentioned odds on to be, as he'll lead them up to the line without a huddle, the MVP, even though Drew Brees, the way he is playing, figures to be a lock for second. So Rodgers without a huddle on 2nd down and 3. And to the outside, it's a quick toss, and that catch is made and taken down right away as Jordy Nelson having a big year, and Zach Bowman starting in place of Tim Jennings, able to stop him. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
Aaron Rodgers telling us they wanted to come out in the no-huddle offense to try and slow down this pass rush a little bit to help the makeshift line that they'll be playing with this evening.
Without a huddle on 3rd and short. And the Bears moving people around defensively. In particular, the safeties, as Rodgers throws over the middle. It's juggled, and then it is caught by Jermichael Finley for a 1st down. Major Wright made the tackle. The last time Finley saw the Bears, he scored 3 touchdowns in one game at Soldier Field.
Yeah, and for Jermichael Finley, that was a good catch and a needed catch, because he struggled last week in that game against Kansas City, and he is really the key target for Aaron Rodgers.
Now Grant to the 40-yard line. He's taken down by Briggs. We'll see Grant. We'll see a lot of James Starks as well in the backfield running the ball for Green Bay.
And they're really hoping to get back to that 2-headed running attack where each of those running backs get about 12 to 15 carries in the game, and really want to get back to their running game some. They feel like they've gotten away from it.
Rodgers under pressure, dumps it. That's Grant on the screen. Grant taking off inside the Chicago 40. Finally tackled at the 28-yard line. Josh Sitton, the right guard, with a good block, and that sprung him at the outset.
You're going to get one of these zone blitzes coming here as people drop out on the other side, throw the screen right into it. It allows the blockers to get down in front. Josh Sitton with a good block, and there we go.
32 yards, longest reception of his career, and now it is Grant again, and Brian Urlacher makes his first tackle of the game after a pickup of 2, 2nd and 8.
Well, Brian Urlacher is going to be the guy, sort of the plugger in the middle right here. He's the guy that's in charge of some of those crossing routes. He'll drop back in the middle of the field. He is really on so many levels the key to this defense.
Now James Starks comes into the backfield, number 44. He and Grant figure to alternate. Opening drive of the game after Chicago deferred. They wanted their defense out on the field. Rodgers with a great presence in the pocket, throws, and that's going to set up a first down, 1st and goal with Jordy Nelson tackled by Bowman.
Well, the Bears have made a switch at corner on the outside. Zach Bowman takes over for Tim Jennings, who got beat on a few plays last week, and immediately Aaron Rodgers goes to work on him.
At the 9-yard line now. 7th play of the drive. Rolling left and throwing, and that is caught on the outside and taken down at the 2-yard line is Jermichael Finley. Major Wright making the stop. Head coach Mike McCarthy, also the play caller, sending the next call into Rodgers.
The key is the fake block down to make the defense believe that it's a run away, and then it was Nick Roach just unable to get back on Finley. That was a good tackle preventing the touchdown, but the way this offense is moving right now, you'd have to say it is just momentarily delaying it.
Touchdown on their first drive, 4 of the last 5 against the Bears. 2nd down and goal. And on a slant that's caught by Finley for a touchdown. In September, 3 Green Bay touchdowns in Chicago, all by that man, and the Bears have seen enough of this guy.
Yeah, and the Bears aren't going to be able to get away with playing Nick Roach, a linebacker, on Jermichael Finley. Finley is the #1 target. Aaron Rodgers wants to throw at least 10 balls to him per game, and when Roach lined up in that little bit outside shade, trying to keep that fade from being thrown, he just gave away the slant easily.
Crosby for the point after. That's a 9-play drive, 8 passes, 1 3-yard run. And the Packers announced to the Bears, we didn't come here to fool around tonight. 7-0 Green Bay. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Southwest Airlines. You can find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Hyundai Holidays, see what's new this holiday at your dealer. By Papa John's, the official pizza sponsor of Super Bowl 46. By Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite Taste Greatness.
Wow. Now
Beautiful.
There's a Packer Christmas for you right there. A little chunk of cheese for your head.
Assembly required.
That was just what the doctor ordered for the Green Bay Packers after their struggles on offense last week.
Bears will get the ball. This is Hester, Devin Hester with a gimpy ankle. And he's going to run it back tonight. Not very far, however. Tackled up at the 15-yard line. And the Chicago Bears and one Josh McCown taking over. Well, Josh McCown played his college football at SMU for 3 years and then transferred to Sam Houston State, drafted by the Arizona Cardinals back in 02. 3rd round. This is his first NFL start since 07 with Oakland, and they begin on the ground with going with their number 3 running back. That's Khalil Bell, picking up about 5. And let's take a look at the Chicago offense.
Josh McCown, Sam Houston State University.
Khalil Edward Bell, UCLA.
Tyler Klutz, Fresno State.
Roy Williams, Texas.
Earl Bennett, Vanderbilt.
Kellen Davis, Michigan State.
Jamarcus Webb, West Texas A&M.
Evan Williams, DeMatha. Roberto Garza, Texas A&M Kingsville.
Chris Spencer, East Florida Middle School.
Lance Lewis, L.B. Landry High School.
And this will be Bell again, and he is stopped close to a first down up at the 24-yard line. A man who made his debut 2 years ago in a Sunday night football game and ran 72 yards the first time he touched the ball. There's Jay Cutler with the broken thumb. Conceivably, the pins are going to come out this week. If the Bears win, and then tomorrow the Saints beat Atlanta and Chicago is still alive, it's possible. It's possible that Cutler could suit up next week at Minnesota. It's a first down for Bell at the 24-yard line, and now McCown has to take a timeout. And all season long, the Bears have taken a lot of early timeouts, as they do here. Happy Hour coming to NBC next month when Whitney moves to Wednesdays, followed by the new NBC comedy Are You There, Chelsea? Wednesday Happy Hour starts January the 11th right here on NBC. That was Friday night, some snow flurries in Green Bay, but clear skies tonight. Temperature 37 at game time after the timeout. The handoff going to Bell, who's carrying on all 3 plays. And it will be 2nd and 7. Let's take a look at the Green Bay defense.
C.J. Wilson, East Carolina.
B.J. Raji, BC.
Clay Matthews, USC.
A.J. Hawk, The Ohio State University.
Desmond Bishop, San Francisco City College.
Eric Walden, Middle Tennessee State.
Charles Woodson, University of Michigan.
Sam Shields, the U.
Charlie Pepper, Roll Tide.
Morgan Burnett, Georgia Tech.
Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech.
The defense has had its issues, but they have forced a lot of turnovers as Bell takes it again. He's tackled by A.J. Hawk. 3rd down and 1 now for the Bears.
Well, clearly the Bears trying to establish this run. They go spread formation, all the wide receivers in the game, and then still run it inside. Good news for Packers fans is they have both their inside backers healthy for the first time in about a month. Desmond Bishop coming back this week.
3rd and 1. And this is Bell again to the outside. He goes and he picks up the first down. And Khalil Bell out of UCLA to the 46. It's Tyler Clutch, the fullback, leading the way for him. So it's a gain of 13, and Bell's carried the ball already 5 times for 32 yards.
Yeah, one of the key blocks out here, Matt Spaeth on the edge, going to get just enough here at the end to allow Khalil Bell to get out and around. And so far, this has been a dream scenario for the Bears offensively to give Josh McCown a little time to get his feet on the ground here.
Halfway through the opening quarter. Why not? Bell again, gain of 2, 6 carries for Bell. Now McCown made his last start with Oakland in 07. He has been around. In fact, earlier this year, he was in the 49er training camp trying to win the backup job to Alex Smith. Got waived, went home. He has 4 kids. He lives in North Carolina outside of Charlotte. Was coaching high school football 5 weeks ago, and there he was in October at Marvin Ridge High School. And then he gets the call. Lovie Smith actually tried to get him to come into the Bears camp last year. 2nd down and 8. And McCown throws, and open for a first down is Roy Williams, the ex-Lion and Cowboy in his first year with Chicago. Got position on Sam Shields, and it's a gain of 17.
Well, you're going to get a lot of open space here. You see the cushion on the outside because the Bears line up in a dead run formation and then come out and throw the ball. So Mike Martz sort of using that opposite strategy. If it looks like run, they're going to throw it. If it looks like pass, they're going to run it. And so far, they're taking it down the field.
McCown mopped up in last week's game against Seattle, completed 1 of 2 in that one, and had 1 pick. And now they go back to Bell on the ground, and Khalil takes it to the 33-yard line.
Well, one of the problems is Clay Matthews on the backside is just so fast that you forget that most guys you don't have to block on the backside. With Clay Matthews, you have to, because if you don't, you're going to end up in 2nd and 8. He can simply just run it down. We talked to Clay a little bit this week, and there was a certain frustration on his part because so many teams are running away from him all the time.
And there's his dad, Clay, a great linebacker through the years. Uncle Bruce, great offensive lineman on the staff now at Tennessee. And the pass is launched into the end zone and incomplete. Earl Bennett doubled there. Woodson was back there providing the primary coverage. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Well, it's not a bad read that time by Josh McCown on the outside. Unfortunately, he's going against one of the greatest corners that has ever played the game, and Charles Woodson. And really, Woodson was the guy in more of a position And for Josh McCown, it's a little late. He kind of just heaved it up there. That's one of those, let's just see if I can have something good happen. And right now he needs about 3 or 4 yards to make this a nice, safe field goal attempt.
Winged it with a prayer. 3rd and 8. 10th play of the drive.
That's what they didn't need.
No, not at all. First penalty of the night.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
John Parry is tonight's referee. It'll be 3rd down and 13.
And you see it happen so many times when new quarterbacks come in the game. And one of the things Josh McCown admitted that was so difficult about playing quarterback with Mike Martz is there's a lot of verbiage in the play calling. So by the time it gets to him, and as a new quarterback, he spits it out, a lot of times that clock is running.
And you saw Martz shaking his head upstairs. Ball at the 38 now. Another flag, and that is caught. And this is Dane Sanzenbacher, who comes close to picking up a 1st down as he takes the ball to the 25-yard line. But Parry has another call to make here.
Number 80 is not set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty and will real play. 3rd down.
So an illegal shift on top of delay of game, and you go to 3rd and 18 now.
No question, right inside here, you're going to see Earl Bennett sort of moving around, and the ball was snapped, and that's exactly what the penalty was. And that was too bad. Dane Sanzenbacher, what a finish to that run he had on that one.
3rd down, 18. Only a 3-man rush, set up the screen. This is Bell looking for room, and Bell gets it to the 31, and that's going to put Robbie Gould in field goal range.
Well, all in all, I would say this first drive for Josh McCown has been a massive success. He hit a couple of passes. He moved his team down the field and is at least going to put Robbie Gould in position to take a shot at this, and Robbie Gould's pretty good.
Robbie Gould, great at Lambeau, having a really good year. Pro Bowl candidate Adam Podlish, who is the punter, will hold it. 49-yard attempt. And Robbie Gould's kick is no good. It is wide to the right. Chicago comes up empty. 7-0 Green Bay.
Merry Christmas from the Chicago Bears, and God bless everyone.
And from Virginia McCaskey, and of course when you think of the Chicago Bears, you go back to George Halas, Papa Bear, and the fact that he coached this team for 40 years. He had 4 10-year increments. James Starks is the running back now, and the Bears come across the line. And Rodgers is going to throw, and it's going to be caught by Finley at the 38-yard line. But he did not come up with the ball. Finley did not make the catch. It was a free play the way it appears here with the Bears coming across the line.
Offside. Defense. Number 91. 5-yard penalty. Will replay. 1st down.
Jermichael Finley, the University of Texas.
Well, Finley was the key on that first drive. For some reason, the Bears decided to play man coverage against the Packers' top receiver with Nick Roach, an outside linebacker. They've since made the switch now. They're going to their nickel package, which is going to allow them to put a defensive back in there on Finley, which should help. Now the Packers go run.
1st and 5. They get Starks going to the outside. Comes up a yard short of the 1st down. It'll be 2nd down and 1. Let's take a look at the Chicago D.
Israel Idonije, Manitoba.
Henry Mountain, Texas.
Matt Twina, Oregon.
Julius Peppers, North Carolina.
Nick Roach, Northwestern.
Brian Urlacher, University of New Mexico.
Lance Briggs, Desert Swarm, Arizona.
Zach Bowman, Nebraska.
Major Wright, the University of Florida.
Craig Stelz, LSU.
Charles Tillman, the University of Louisiana.
Big issue for the Bears this season has been the play at the safety spot. Rodgers on 2nd and 1, buys time, and it's incomplete. Threw it to the outside. Finley couldn't hold on, pleads his case to no avail, and it will be 3rd down.
Well, that's back-to-back drops now for Finley after they make the switch. Now they have the safety, Major Wright, playing on him, and as he's going to the ground, the ball comes out, and so they're going to call that incomplete. That's a couple of balls now that Finley, who really has tremendous hands, but it has been a bit of an issue all season this year.
Was last week as well.
Green Bay is challenging the previous play.
So McCarthy throws the challenge flag. If they win the challenge, it would be a 1st down. John Parry's going to make the call in a second. I think the call will be that he was down by contact. He has the knee down. There's the tackle. The ball comes loose, but after the play should have been over. I mean, that's the way we see it, or I see it.
The question is, well, you know, you've got to maintain control all the way through the ground. He has control there, but does the play end with his knee on the ground?
The play stands as called. There's an incomplete pass.
All right, incomplete.
Bears charge the first team timeout.
I mean, I understand Finley's frustration because he's thinking, I caught it after the hit, I maintained, but going to the ground is that rule, and he did not maintain control to the ground.
Yeah, but I thought the play should have been whistled dead, and was, at least in McCarthy's view, when his knee was down, he had possession, and that should have been the end of the play. And you could see the look on McCarthy's face when he didn't win the challenge. Anyway, it's 3rd down and 1. Ryan Grant is the running back. Kuhn is the fullback. And they're going to stop him short of the 1st down. So a good series for the Chicago defense, because it's a challenge that had to be used by Green Bay, and now they stop him and force a 4th down.
Linebackers shoot through, but it's a safety, Craig Stelz, who comes over and makes the play at the end. And I tell you, it was interesting talking to Brian Urlacher about Craig Stelz and the difference that he's made playing that safety position back there. And speaking of making a difference, how about this guy?
Well, Hester's had the bad ankle, was questionable during the week, limited in practice. Tim Mastay to punt. It's a low liner, and Hester's going to have a chance to run it back from the 5-yard line, and then he stumbles and down he goes at the 12-yard line. So a line drive kick, the kind of kick you want if you're Devin Hester, but he couldn't take advantage of it. Bears have it, down 7-0 at Lambeau. Let's go back almost 2 decades, this rivalry. You've had 2 quarterbacks for Green Bay, just 2, of course, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. The Bears during that period of time, 15 quarterbacks, 15 against 2, and thus the Packers since '92 have won 27 of the 39 meetings between these 2 teams.
Yeah, but those 2 quarterbacks weren't very good, though. No. As far as Rodgers. Here we go.
Now Chicago from the 11-yard line. Their first drive bogged down, and then Gold missed a 49-yard field goal attempt. And the ball is handed off on 1st down to Bell. And Bell up to the 19-yard line. So the season starts. You've got one of the best backs in the league, obviously, and Matt Forte, who gets hurt 3 weeks ago, knee injury. Then Marion Barber, the ex-Cowboy, is behind him. And then there's Bell. And Bell's kind of been, you know, waiting in the wings. Picked them up from Minnesota as a free agent in '09. Played at UCLA under Rick Neuheisel. Had a season-high 65 yards last week and 67 receiving yards over the last 2 games. And he's the man tonight. Simple as that. Armando Allen, who was on the practice squad, is his backup. Bell again to the 28-yard line. So he's getting a shot and making the most of it. Eric Walden makes the tackle. And they've already fed Bell 9 times for 53 yards.
Well, really the key offensive lineman is Roberto Garza, the offensive center. Watch him pull around. He's a former guard, now playing center. Gets the kick out block that time on A.J. Hawk. But Bell has really been putting on a show. Very patient runs, and doing it against a defense that struggled against the run last week.
Number 29, give it to him again. And this is Desmond Bishop. The Green Bay defense vulnerable this year, 31st overall in yards allowed, but 14th in points, meaning it's a lot of bending and not breaking. You know, you come into this game, of all things, the Packers, as you look at some of the other numbers for them, coming into the game, they had gained 5,569 yards this season, and they had allowed exactly the same figure. So they figured to be a 500 team. Not really. 13-1. 2nd and 4. This time, Bell gets hit by Bishop.
Well, there's no question getting Desmond Bishop back in the lineup has been key. Talked to Dom Capers. Here's a guy that has the ability to really disrupt, and they miss him almost as much in the pass rush department as they do just trying to stop the run. Really, the guy that they miss stopping the run is Ryan Pickett, who's missing his 2nd straight game on that defensive line with a concussion.
3rd and 4. 10 seconds to go in the quarter. Blitz coming, it's picked up, and the pass is deflected and then hits the ground. Incomplete. Roy Williams, the intended receiver, hits the grass. And with 3 seconds to go in the quarter, it'll be 4th and 4. It's Woodson slow and getting up.
That would not be good. He is the key in many ways to this defense. You see Woodson almost bait the quarterback into this throw. He starts out outside, gets his hands on the ball, and this very nearly turned into a back-breaking turnover. But Tramon Williams unable to make the catch.
So holding his knee, Woodson to the sideline. Here is Podless to punt, and Randall Cobb, the rookie out of Kentucky, 2nd-round draft choice, back to return it. High floating kick, made at the 24. That's where Green Bay starts the 2nd quarter. End of 1. Green Bay 7, Chicago nothing on Christmas night at Lambeau, and Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. And the aerial coverage tonight is being brought to you by Geico as you look at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin on this Christmas night. 37 at game time. The temperature, clear skies. Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Green Bay, after the opening kickoff, marched down the field, got into the end zone. That's the only scoring thus far. 7-0 as the Packers try to cement the number 1 seed in the NFC. They can do it with a win tonight. Start from the 24 on 1st and 10. The opening play of the quarter is a quick flip to Cobb on the outside, and up he goes to the 27-yard line.
Well, as long as Nick Roach is in the game, Aaron Rodgers, who has great latitude with this offense, is just going to take the ball and throw it out to whoever it is that he's covering. And there's always a decision to make. You want to have your big linebackers in the game to try and help you stop the run. But when Aaron Rodgers sees those 3 linebackers in, he's going to throw it. And right at Briggs.
2nd and 7. And slipping is Grant. Up to the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4. You know, some vulnerability. We talked about it at the top as Rodgers is going to get up to the line in a hurry along that offensive front, Chris.
Yeah, there really is. They now are down 3 tackles. Clifton's been gone since about the 5th week, and Balaga and Sherrod both got hurt in the game last week. So this is, without question, a makeshift offensive line at this point.
Right tackle Lang started the year at left guard. Marshall Newhouse, rookie at left tackle number 74. And they're protecting a pretty valuable man in Rodgers, who throws, and the pass is underthrown, and slipping was James Jones. So that Bear defense, which just has to provide the impetus tonight, have any chance to win the game, does it again. Does a good job.
Well, Julius Peppers on the outside, and they're letting Newhouse take him a little bit more one-on-one because they're more concerned about TJ Lang on the other side. But the Bears taking a page right out of the Kansas City Chiefs defensive playbook with some of this man-to-man coverage.
Hester back to receive the kick, waves for the fair catch, lets it go. Chicago will take over at the 19-yard line. So that's the second consecutive 3 and out for that Bear defense. Bears offense over the first 10 games, 27 points a game. Jay Cutler having a good year. And then, of course, you go to the last 4 games with Caleb Haney getting the start. 12 turnovers, equaling the number of turnovers they had through the first 10 games of the year. So you wonder how you go from 7-3 to 7-7. There you have it.
Yeah, they did a good job a little bit later. They started off the season 11 sacks in the first 2 games, and then Cutler kind of pitched a fit a little bit, and they got the ball out a little faster, only 1.5 sacks per game after that. But after Haney came back in, it was the same old story.
This is Armando Allen, who comes off the practice squad as the backup back to the 21, also for Green Bay. Now Woodson is back in the game, so he was holding his knee, but then was in on that play. So Armando Allen, rookie out of Notre Dame, making his NFL debut right here.
A little bit of a scat back out of Notre Dame, a change of pace guy. He'll give him a little something different. Bill Bell has been playing great. I'm sure they don't want to wear him out. He's getting the heavy workload so far.
2nd and 8. Bang. Down goes Allen. That's his welcome to the NFL moment. C.J. Wilson plants him.
Well, right now the Bears are going to have to prove that they can throw the football, because here's Charles Woodson right here, and they are just going to play everybody down in the box and make it awfully tough to run the ball until Josh McCown can prove that he can beat them throwing the ball. But that's a big play for C.J. Wilson, who's filling in for Ryan Pickett.
Khalil Bell back in, flanking McCown on 3rd down and 9. Blitz coming, and McCown throws to the outside, and that's Williams making the catch in front of the Chicago bench. Got position on Pepra, and it's a 20-yard gain on a 3rd and long.
It's a good job hanging in there by McCown. Here's the outside receiver, had the corner blitz coming off of it, and McCown was about to take a pretty good shot, but he hung in there. He knew that Roy Williams was going to get there if he could just wait. And for Roy Williams, that's a nice pitch and catch. Watch Roy in practice on Friday. He's been battling the flu all week. Looks like his legs are a little sore, but he's giving it the best he can out here tonight.
Down. Sets up the screen. Bell. Bell loses the ball. Got hit by Clay Matthews, and then McCown comes in to save it for Chicago. Forced fumble, but Chicago maintaining possession. 2nd down and 13.
Big shot by Clay Matthews, but watch Josh McCown steal the ball from Eric Walden, outside linebacker, and he just snatched it away from him. Ball's clearly out. Walden looks like he's got it, and McCown comes in and steals it back.
Yeah, but he was shaking his right hand as he came away. Armando Allen now back in the running back, and they give it to the rookie, and he'll chug his way up to the 41-yard line. Go back and look at McCown coming in to wrest it away from Walden.
Yeah, first of all, there aren't many quarterbacks that would have even gone in that direction. But McCown said, hey, I know this is my shot. And I asked him, I said, have you thought about the ramifications of this game? If you have a good game, maybe you're not coaching high school football next year. And he said, you know what? I can't do that myself. I'm just going to enjoy the moment the best I can. Play as hard as I can out there.
32-year-old McCown, his brother plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, was able to flip it out, and that's going to be a 1st down for Bell all the way to the Green Bay 39-yard line.
Well, really just a blown coverage. You end up with this 2-man out here where everybody is in man coverage. So one of these 2 linebackers are going to have to pick up the running back Bell. Bell chips and then comes off, and the linebackers both rush. Just a big mistake by the Green Bay Packers defensively.
2nd, 3rd, and long conversion in a row. That was a 3rd and 8. Allen is the back. And Allen takes the ball to the 34-yard line. And the way Green Bay started out tonight, taking that opening drive all the way down the field, going basically no huddle, Who would have thought that at this point of the game, Green Bay would have 90 yards and Chicago would have 136.
Well, Al, we saw it last week against Kansas City. It was time of possession. It was running the ball. It was controlling the clock. It was taking pressure off the quarterback. And so far, the Chicago Bears have done the exact same thing. The Packers have issues stopping the run.
2nd and 4. And this is Allen. To the 27-yard line he goes.
Well, right now up front, these guys are just dominating. They're pushing the Green Bay Packers backwards. And when Ryan Pickett is out of the game, here's a 340-pound man who hasn't played the last 2 weeks. And I didn't think it would show up quite this much, but it is once again. And again, these big Bears tight ends are almost like additional tackles on the outside.
And they go and clutch the fullback here. Allen to the outside.
Oh, what a play.
And Woodson comes in to make the tackle.
Oh, that was some play because Tyler Clutch, the fullback, had Charles Woodson dead to rights on the outside, and Woodson just shedded the block and ended up making the play. Woodson was the leading tackler in the game against Kansas City, comes from depth. Clutch is going to try and cut him. Woodson has no part of it, jumps right over and makes a big tackle.
Same Woodson who was clutching his knee when he had to come out on the last drive. 2nd and 5. And it's picked off by Matthews. So Matthews, who had forced the fumble, and Chicago was able to retain possession on the recovery on the count. Now barking at himself, threw it right in to the chest of number 52.
You're a mean one.
Sunday Night Football brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Nissan, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. By Subway Restaurants, get your own Subway steak melt today. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go. Packers, the holiday tradition of visiting local children with cancer. The children enjoying arts and crafts, pizza dinner, ice cream with their favorite players. And there's nothing like the Packers in Green Bay in terms of a connection to a community. Smallest market, of course, in the NFL and all of the major team sports. And a special place is Starks takes the ball to the 27-yard line.
Well, I think tomorrow in films, Khalil Bell is going to catch the blame here. Right out here is Clay Matthews, and on these quick throws, the back has to cut the outside linebacker. See him hesitate, which allows Matthews to get his hands up for the interception. They will coach him to the point where just throw at his knees so you get those hands down. That time Bell hesitated, and it cost him an interception.
2nd and 9. Good cat and mouse there by Matthews. And he flips it off to the side to Starks to the 33-yard line. Oh, yeah. Rodgers holding his hand.
Oh, after watching Romo yesterday, this was some play by Rodgers, just seeing this thing and giving a little side slingshot here, but looks like he's going to catch the helmet of one of the Bears, Julius Peppers. And those hurt. We'll keep an eye on him.
3rd down and 3. Right off the bat, we can tell if it's an issue or not here as he spins to his left and then throws, and it's out of bounds. And once again, that Chicago defense keeping this team very much in the hunt.
Well, a couple of things here. One, Brian Urlacher is sort of playing the spy in the man coverage. This time he picks up Starks, but also has the speed to sort of run down Aaron Rodgers. But on the outside, this bump and run coverage for the 2nd straight week now is giving these Packers receivers some problems.
And Packers minus Jennings, low snap. Mass State gets it away. Green Bay now with 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. And that is Hester, who looked like he was about ready to call for a fair catch. Gave it about a quarter move with the arm. And gets tackled at just about that same spot. Chicago with the ball.
I'm I'm Bettina Driver, and on behalf of my family, we would like to wish you a Merry Christmas.
What a fine Donald Driver was in 1999 out of Alcorn State, 7th round pick.
Good guy. What a good guy.
Very good guy. Super Bowl ring last year. Chicago now from the 22-yard line on first down. And Bell picks up one, and we check in with Michelle.
Well, you may have noticed, Al, at right tackle for the Bears, Frank Omiyala is in because Lance Lewis has gone to the locker room. He's got an illness, and he is questionable. We'll keep you posted, Al.
All right, already, Michelle, that offensive line, and we touched on it, missing 2 opening day starters. They've had some stability in the past few games, but hasn't paid off, of course, in the win-loss column. 2nd down and 9. And over the middle, that is caught by Sanzenbacher, the Ohio State rookie. And that moves the change. Another Chicago first down. They have 8 to Green Bay's 4.
Well, that was a nice job by McCown that time. He's going to wait to get on the other side of Desmond Bishop, number 55, kind of give him a little pump fake, and then throw it in behind him. You'll see just overrun it a bit, but that was sort of clever quarterback play that time by McCown.
From the 39-yard line. Bell will turn that into an 8-yard gain. Talked about McCown and the career he's had at Arizona. Was the starter there. They let him go. And one of the reasons he's in Chicago now is because he spent 1 season in Detroit behind John Kitna, and that's when Mike Martz was there. So one of the things that appealed to the Bears in terms of bringing him over was the fact that he knew Martz's offense. 2nd and 1. And Bell cuts it back inside the 40 and out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Khalil Bell, the number 3 back, having to start tonight because of the injuries to Forte and DeBarber, goes 20 yards. He already has 89 yards tonight.
Nice job here by the big tackle, Jamarcus Webb, working against Green on the inside, who really just does not get off that block, allows the cutback. But I tell you, the thing that impresses me most about Bell is his patience. Most young runners, they want to run as fast as they can up to the line of scrimmage, and they don't let that blocking develop. He's been very patient on these runs tonight.
Allen. He goes to the 20-yard line, a gain of 13 before he is forced back. And another Chicago first down, and they are dominating in every category.
Well, it's so interesting to have a former guard in Roberto Garza playing center. Watch him pull out in front of this play. Most centers aren't athletic enough to do that, and then they just dig Eric Walden out on the edge. And I tell you, these young backs, sometimes you never know what you have until they get a chance to play. And so far, Armando Allen and Khalil Bell have been great.
Chicago's already run 31 plays to Green Bay's 18. Green Bay had that one drive, the opening drive, that's it. Chicago has 10 first downs to 4. Double the yardage. Time of possession, 17 minutes and change for Chicago, and less than 9 for Green Bay.
Yeah, and Roberto Garza may need oxygen at the end of this drive. I've never seen a center pull as much as he has. Without question, he has been their best offensive lineman, and so much the key, making all the calls up front.
2nd and 8. Allen tackled by Matthews. Takes the ball to the 13-yard line.
Now this entire offensive line really getting it done. This time, got Chris Spencer coming down. Nice double team block. Frank Omiel comes in and plays tackle, a position he hasn't played a whole lot in his career. The only one they're not blocking is Clay Matthews, and he's making the plays. Now's that big 3rd down, though. You get all this production, but no points out of it so far.
3rd and 4. And the ball was juggled as A.J. Hawk meets the ball carrier Armando Allen at at the line of scrimmage, and now Gold will come in. He missed a 49-yarder earlier to try to give Chicago its first points of the night.
And watch Charles Woodson come flying inside, which allows these linebackers to go backside and be there to make the tackle. Anytime you start getting something going, you better keep your eye on number 21 because he's going to do something you don't expect. Woodson that time tied up all the blockers.
And before the field goal attempt, we go to the 2-minute warning, and the Bears are hanging in there. It's 7-0 Green Bay. So at a halftime show coming up, guys, we'll take a look at next week's Cowboy-Giants game on Sunday Night Football. Winner to the playoffs, losers done. How Tim Tebow can lead the Broncos to postseason play, and the updated NFC and AFC playoff pictures. Here's
Merry Christmas,
yeah, to you too. 35-yard field goal attempt by Robbie Gould. And Chicago finally gets some points on the board because they flagged down, so hold everything. It was 4th and 8. John Parry is the ref.
It's like it's going to be maybe an offsides, but I don't think you're going to do that. I think you're not going to take the points off the board here.
Because otherwise you make it 4th down and 3. You're going to keep the field goal anyway.
And Robbie saying, no way we're taking that field goal off the board.
Offside. Defense. Penalty's been declined. Result, 3-point field goal.
So that makes it Green Bay 7, Chicago 3. In January, 30 Rock is back, and they tell me that Liz Lemon is going to drop a bombshell, and I wouldn't lie to you. You know that. All will be revealed when 30 Rock returns Thursday, January the 12th. That is new time, 8 Eastern and Pacific, 7 Central and Mountain, right here on NBC. Christmas night, Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the Green Bay Packers, big favorites, looked like it on the opening drive, marched down the field, went in for a touchdown, and since then, 3 3-and-outs. And Chicago has dominated on the ground, but they have only 3 points as the kickoff is fielded by Randall Cobb at the 1-yard line. And Cobb with a good return out to the 36-yard line where he's tackled by Corey Graham. 1:50, pair of timeouts left for Green Bay. They're up by 4 Christmas night.
I'm Charles Tillman, and on behalf of my 2 daughters, Talia and Tiana, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Charles Tillman, he's beloved by his defensive teammates. Brian Urlacher the other day were talking about, hey, who gets a little love on Christmas night? He says Charles Tillman. This guy is fantastic. Day in, day out, 9th year in the league. The Bear corner, 1st and 10, as Chicago's defense has done a magnificent job since that opening drive. Rodgers steps away, and then the pass is underthrown. They had that 80-yard, 9-play drive on the opening series, and since then, 3 3-and-outs, and now a 2nd and 10.
Well, the problem right now, Al, is you're getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers, and they're playing this bump and run coverage on the outside, and that combination of things is not allowing them to run their typical offense. So far, you asked me at the beginning, is this a speed bump? That speed bump's growing a little bit in my mind.
2nd down and 10. And Rodgers' open man is Jones. James Jones will take it all the way inside the 35-yard line. Not even out of bounds. Clock continues to run to the 34. A minute and a half to go.
Well, and this is what beats this man-to-man coverage are these inside crossing routes. Nice job by Jones on that one, getting away from Tillman. And the protection held up that time, allowed that route to develop down the field.
32-yard gain.
Still haven't seen a whole lot of Jermichael Finley since that first drive.
He was the man who scored the touchdown to culminate that drive. And now the pass is too high. Speaking of Finley, He calls his number. Stokes with the coverage on the play. 2nd down and 10 with 61 seconds to play.
Well, what makes that throw difficult always is the fact that Brian Urlacher runs underneath this in this sort of Tampa 2 look, and as a quarterback you kind of try to drop it in over the top of Urlacher and then get it down before those 2 safeties get there, and just barely missed it. Rogers and Finley barely missed a touchdown throw on a long one last week, and that one had a chance too.
Urlacher 2 career picks against Rogers. 2nd down and 10 from the 33-yard line. Aaron stepping up. He can run. Not very far here. Urlacher is there to make sure he doesn't go past the 30-yard line. And Green Bay will take one of its 2 remaining timeouts with 50 seconds.
Well, there's no question Julius Pepper is one of the great players in the league. And Aaron Rodgers knows it. He's hitting that back foot, and he's just simply trying to step up and get out of the way. But Brian Urlacher, we asked him, we said, now, when you're sort of in the middle of the field, are you the spy on this defense? And he said, well, we don't call it the spy, but if I don't make the tackle on Aaron Rodgers when he runs, he said, I'm in big trouble, so I guess I am the spy. Good defense inside, though. This is a team that if they could somehow find a way here on this 3rd down to get off the field and only give up a field goal attempt, they would have to feel pretty darn good about this first half of football.
Especially after Green Bay rolled on that opening drive. Getting no huddle all the way, 80 yards with alacrity to make it 7-0. 3rd down and 7. You have a flag, and the pass is caught by Nelson. And he'll get taken out of bounds at the 13-yard line. And John Parry will make the call. Flag at the 28-yard line, just past the line of scrimmage.
Well, let's give credit to Aaron Rodgers for altering that snap count. He got a free play out of that one.
Defense, number 91. Penalties decline. Results of play. 1st down.
Okoye is the man.
Jordy Nelson on the outside. This time Tillman just slips and falls and creates this big opening. But that play really set up by the fact that Aaron Rodgers, who knew going into this thing with some of the issues on that offensive line, he was going to have to go with a lot of hard counts. It paid dividends there.
He emptied the backfield on 1st down with 43 seconds. And the pass is caught over the middle, taken by Donald Driver. He's going to get it to the 3-yard line. Rodgers doesn't want to burn a timeout here. Plenty of time they have. It's 1st down and goal as they spot the ball inside the 3. Brandon Sane is the running back. Number 33, rookie out of Ohio State, flanking Rodgers. And now at 18 seconds, Chicago's going to take a timeout. And I'm sure they've got the right guys in goal line.
Yeah, there was an issue created by the motion that time. They were in the no huddle, hurry up. So now you're going to see, here they are trying to make their call. They're going to send Brandon Sane in motion, and they really just didn't have any answer for that one.
Rodgers 13 of 18 for 146. Did most of that damage on the first drive, with the rest of it here after those 3 and outs in between. Mike McCarthy, 6th year as the Packer head coach and the play caller, sends it in on 1st and goal. Starks in the backfield with Rodgers.
Major right out here on Finley.
And it's a quick toss on a slant to James Jones. Touchdown Packers. And James Jones with a Christmas night Lambeau leap. In 142, they go 65 yards, 7 plays, and leave Chicago next to nothing on the clock, 16 seconds.
It's really fun to watch Aaron Rodgers play the quarterback position. He sends Finley in motion, see Major Wright go with him across the formation, knows he has man coverage, works backside to Jones. It's just perfectly done.
Crosby for the point after. So it's 14-3 Green Bay.
Well, once Jermichael Finley goes in motion, and Major Wright goes with him across the formation, right now you know it's man coverage. So now the matchup up here has to be a one-on-one. There's no way it could be anything else. Rodgers realizes it, gets it inside the man coverage of Zach Bowman. Just an easy pitch and catch. He's saying, go get way outside. Let's clear a little space here for ourselves. Because then he knew he was going to put Finley in motion off of that and throw the slam.
So here we are on Christmas night, Chris. We were here, the season began on a Thursday night, September the 8th. It was the Saints coming into Lambeau. The game went down to the very end. The Saints had a chance to tie the game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and Ingram was stopped at the 1-yard line. And here we are 3.5 months later. And a lot of people think that the Saints are going to wind up back here next month.
Entirely possible. With the quarterback play these two teams are getting, remarkable. With so many records potentially shattered this season by Drew Brees and by Aaron Rodgers, that would be some match.
Of course, the 49ers might have a little something to say about that along the way here as the kick goes through the end zone. Meanwhile, Rodgers has now thrown 42 touchdown passes in the spectacular season for him. There are the numbers tonight. Chicago dominating on the ground. Green Bay's had those 2 drives. But you got to hand it to the Chicago Bears. I mean, this is a team. Cutler's out. Forte is out. Their big play guy, Knox, had surgery. Barber's inactive. Hasn't played well lately. Hester has a gimpy ankle. Sam Hurd is facing federal drug charges. The offensive line without 2 opening day starters. The quarterback was semi-retired. 27 points in the last 3 games. 7 courtesy of the defense. And there's a lot of speculation about some of the coaches, including Mike Martz. Apart from that, everything's pretty cool there.
Yeah, they have no excuses whatsoever.
Right. But that's a pretty good half by Chicago as they hung in. It's 14-3, and coming up next, it'll be the Toyota halftime show. Bob, Dan, Tony, and Rodney will be with you. But first, these messages from your local NBC station. 14-3 Green Bay starting the third quarter. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Let's check in with Michelle.
Well, I just spoke with Lovie Smith at halftime. He's really pleased with the fact that they've been able to run the ball so well, and he gives a lot of credit to his offensive line, and he says that game plan will not change here in the second half. Spoke as well to Mike McCarthy. He expected to be attacked this way. He knew they were going to try to run on the ball. He said, you know, we're missing some guys up front. But he said he told his team the scoreboard looks the way it's supposed to look. Time of possession is way out of balance. We got to fix that, get pressure on their quarterback, and try to stop this run. Al?
Right, thank you, Michelle. And the time of possession is 19 minutes, 10 seconds for Chicago to 10:40 for Green Bay. Chicago outgaining them, out first downing them, but on the scoreboard, it's 11 points for Green Bay. That's the differential there. Chicago gets the ball to start the third quarter. Devin Hester with a tender ankle, not looking like the real Devin Hester out of the 28-yard line. Chris.
Well, it's been a great half for the offensive line and these 2 tight ends. They've made a difference. Kellen Davis and Matt Spaeth makes essentially a 7-man offensive line up front. And they've been getting good push, and the backs have been patient, sometimes pulling both the center and the guard in front, athletic up front. The issue is now going to come in if they have to start throwing the ball, because this offensive line, they are not good pass protectors.
Start with Bell breaking a tackle, gets out of the backfield, spun away from Desmond Bishop and gained 7 yards.
Yeah, you can only stay with your game plan of running the ball so long as when you're playing against Aaron Rodgers, because he tends to put points on the board, and eventually you got to try and match those points, and that's when you get yourself in danger.
On 2nd and 4, Bell cuts it back. Well, he's looking good tonight. After the 45-yard line he goes. behind a Matt Spate block. And Bell now 16 carries tonight, 105 yards for him.
Well, a couple of different things here. They're not going to let Clay Matthews just going to go. They're going to put the tight end in motion and then pull him back across the formation. And those types of plays, the way that Bell has been running, has really made the difference. As long as they've kept Clay Matthews out of the play, they've had pretty good success running the football.
Bell cannot turn the corner this time. Nothing but green shirts there. And forced out of bounds, loss of a couple.
Yeah, now you're starting to see these linebackers flowing a little more quickly. That time A.J. Hawk got out in front of that pulling guard and forced them to bounce it wide. And now when you start getting those lateral runs without the cutbacks, now you've got a chance defensively.
Second and 12. To the 50-yard line he goes. If you joined us late, McCown 5 weeks ago coaching high school football in North Carolina, semi-retired.
Yeah, Josh McCown, here's the strategy. If the first guy he looks at down the field isn't there, he's told to run. And he knew, he said, guys, I'm going to have to go off the script here tonight. I'm not going to sit there and read 2, 3, 4 guys the way that a Jay Cutler might. He goes, I'm going to see if my first guy's open, and then I'm gone.
3rd and 5. Blitz coming. They pick it up, and that frees the open man, Bennett, who's inside the 30, the 20. Bennett inside the 10, and Bennett takes it to the 1-yard line. Charlie Pepper for the moment saving the touchdown. So Green Bay sends the house that time. McCown able to hang in there, find Bennett, and he takes it all the way to a 1st and goal.
Here comes the blitz out of the secondary. Khalil Bell goes the wrong way at first, but sees his guy coming off the edge, comes back. You get a slip in the defensive secondary, and finally, here's the one they've been waiting for. Tramon Williams goes to the ground, and the Bears have life with their passing game.
And with the ball at the 1-yard line, Chicago has to take a timeout. Get the right guys in there. Bennett goes back to the bench. 14-3 with Chicago, 1st and goal. Bears had to take an early timeout, 18 timeouts in the 1st and 3rd quarters, tied for the most in the league. It's 1st down and goal. The ball is at the 1-yard line. Bell is the running back, and they give it to Bell. He swings to the outside, puts his head down, and he is into the end zone for a touchdown. He lost the ball, and Edwin Williams comes up with it. So you saw the beanbag come out, the ball loose at that point, and then Chicago gets a humongous break.
I don't think there's any question this ball is out before the goal line. Good hit on the outside by Pepra and by Desmond Bishop. And Edwin Williams there to score the touchdown. No doubt about it. Good for the big guy. Comes in there, he's starting for Chris Williams, who went out with a wrist injury and scores a touchdown on national television. And Lovey said, that's right, that's how we drew it up. You got it. Wanted to get the big guy a little love on Christmas.
Robbie Gould now for the point. If they had to review that upstairs, so that's why we had the slight delay. All scoring plays looked at by the booth. Now Gould to try to make it a 4-point game. And he does. And how about the Chicago Bears hanging in 14-10 on Christmas night? Well, next week it's the final game of the regular season. It's the Cowboys against the Giants, and you know what it means. The winner goes to the playoffs, and the loser watches the playoffs on television. We'll start from MetLife Stadium at 7 Eastern with football night. And just 3 weeks ago, that great game in Arlington, Texas, the Giants won it 37-34. Big come from behind win. to keep it going. Romo and Manning. That's next week. The final game of the regular season on Sunday Night Football. Dallas against the Giants. And Cobb takes a knee in the end zone.
Well, the key for the Chicago Bears defensively is what they're doing in the secondary. They're trying to copy what the Kansas City Chiefs did with his bump and run coverage on the outside. It was good early on, and then the Packers went with the crossing route to James Jones. Now, the key to this is you need added time. So far, they haven't had a lot of confidence in their protection, but that time the protection was good, allowed that route to work down the field, and even Santa Claus liked that one.
From the 20, Packers with their first possession of the second half. And Rodgers busted play to the 21-yard line. You know, you're always talking about coaches saying if you can run the ball and stop the run. Well, Chicago tonight, 148 rushing yards. Green Bay, 15.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the first game just the opposite? Didn't they? I think the Bears ran for like 13 yards in the first game. And this has been totally the opposite of that.
Matt Forte had 2 net yards on 9 carries that day. Second down and 9. To the outside goes Grant. And Grant staying in bounds and takes the ball all the way out to the 45-yard line. That's a 24-yard gain. More than they had gained all night until this point on the ground.
It's got to be better than this by Julius Peppers. He has the edge. You can't allow this bounce out to happen. Newhouse got just enough of them. Looked like Nick Roach may have been trying to get over the top as well, and he got blocked, and there you go. You end up with a busted play on first down, and you run around the best player maybe you've got on your defense.
Starks is now the back on first down from the 45. Quick toss, and that's behind Nelson and incomplete. Jordy Nelson is a guy who had a big day in the Super Bowl, dropped a couple of passes, but still put up some very big numbers. And I guess if there was a Super Bowl MVP runner-up last year, it might have been Nelson.
Yeah, Jordy said every once in a while, I tell Aaron Rodgers I ought to get to drive the car a couple of days a week or something. You know, we had a little competition going on for the MVP.
Caught 9 passes in that game for 140 yards and a touchdown. Second and 10. Play action, and that gives Rodgers all night. And when he has all night, he'll find somebody open, and it's Jordy Nelson for a touchdown.
Wide receivers run routes on safeties. It usually isn't pretty. Major Wright is left in double coverage over the top, but he bit on the fake to the flag, and it was no contest. We have seen big plays from Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson all season long. It has simply been a monster year, and the combination of those two, the numbers that those two put up together, are among the very best in the NFL.
11 touchdown receptions for Nelson this year. Crosby attack on the extra point. Nelson has scored a touchdown in every game at Lambeau Field this season. So when it comes to the Lambeau leap, he knows the roadmap. 21-10.
Emily Nelson.
I'm Jordy Nelson.
And this is Royal. On behalf of our family, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Jordy Nelson grew up on a farm in Kansas, Riley, Kansas, not far from where Kansas State's located in Manhattan. Was a walk-on. Didn't even get a scholarship there. Walked on. Good career there. And he wound up as the number 2 draft choice in 08 and is having a tremendous season. And this is 4th year as a Green Bay Packer. And the kick will be down. Well, there's Hester, who fakes. He never put his knee down, and Hester decides to run out with it, and
looked a little like that field goal he returned. Remember that? He sort of walked around a little bit, almost worked.
In New York, 108 yards. Rodgers to Nelson. When you look at the rating, a perfect rating is 158 and change, so it's almost perfect. Every time Rodgers targets Nelson, he hits him 3 out of 4 times. 11 touchdowns, no picks, and they do it again here to make the score 21-10.
Well, and plus now with Greg Jennings out, it's given him that balance to go along with Jermichael Finley. He has just had a tremendous year, deserves to go to the Pro Bowl.
And it's a 2-yard gain here. And what's happening too is, you've got Greg Jennings, who's their leading receiver, who's out. But the one thing about the Packers, despite the injuries, remember, you keep forgetting last year, a ton of injuries. A lot of guys on injured reserve, mixing and matching, and they had to run the table at the end of the year, win the 2 last regular season games and then all 4 postseason games.
But their defense played their best at the end of the season, and so far you can't really say that about this bunch. I know they've got some injuries to deal with too, but the defense has to be better than what they've been.
2nd down and 8. And that's caught at the 27-yard line by Williams. The defense, as we say, a lot of yardage given up, but they're about the middle of the pack in terms of points. And it's so funny. I mean, you could very well have Green Bay against New England in the Super Bowl, and coming into this weekend, they would have ranked last and next to last in defense.
Yeah, so much for defenses win championships, huh? But when you have quarterbacks play like what we were seeing, and you throw Drew Brees into that mix, Super Bowl could be combustible no matter who's playing in it.
3rd down and 3 from the 27. And the pass is low and incomplete. That's Williams who had to reach down for it, covered by Sam Shields, and it's 4th down.
That was not a bad throw that time. Roy Williams, I know his legs hurt, and I watched him in practice the other day up here at the top. Watch him, he just sort of waits on this ball. If he comes back to it, I think it's going to hit him about waist high. Good job in the backfield that time by Bell, getting the hands down, and Williams just unable to turn and come back to the ball.
I thought it was like a 4th ball to me.
This time of year.
Split finger. And fielded at the 19 by Cobb. And Cobb has to back all the way to the 10 to try to turn the corner. And around the bend he comes, and then gets taken down to the 20-yard line. Ran about 70 yards to get it back to the 20. Winston Venable, a rookie out of Boise State, makes the tackle. 8:20 to go in the 3rd. 21-10 Green Bay. Well, the most consecutive home games with a touchdown pass, Danny Marino. That's more than 2 seasons worth. John Unitas with 34. Aaron Rodgers 3 tonight. So that's 29 consecutive home games in which that man has thrown a touchdown pass.
It was interesting talking to him. He said that last week was the first time that they had ever as a team discussed the undefeated season. And he thought that some guys reacted in a nervous way playing in that Kansas City game. He didn't know if that was the right idea. In some ways he admitted it. He goes, I do think it took some pressure off to lose that game.
From the 25-yard line, that's Cobb making the catch, and Cobb takes the ball to the 44. I mean, there are 2 ways to look at it. Number one, they didn't want the undefeated season if you can get it. I mean, that lives forever. On the other hand, you're right. That the fact that they don't have to think about that, now they can begin to focus on January.
That is an MVP season right there. 43 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions. He was the player of the month in September, October, November, and maybe on his way here in December.
Packers single season yardage record. He's now the holder of that mark. 1st down from the 44-yard line. Starks for a gain of maybe 1.
Yeah, and I think that is the concern, though, now, Al, is that this running game has really not gotten started at all for the Packers. And Mike McCarthy was telling us yesterday, he goes, hey, December football and January football is different in Green Bay. We're going to be hosting playoff games, and we've got to get back to the balance that we had. We were a good running team. Starts in the playoffs last year, over 300 yards rushing after just about 100 in the regular season.
Well, he came on at the end because they lost Ryan Grant on opening day, and Brandon Jackson was their leading rusher, and then Starks came on and was great in the playoffs. And Starks gets taken down by Urlacher just shy of the 50-yard line.
Teo, Urlacher, when you get hit by Brian Urlacher, you stay hit. He does such a nice job. Really had to cover 2 gaps here. The fake is going to send him there, but then he comes back over the top of that double team and is able to make the play. Scott Wells, who is having another monster year, takes care of Briggs on the other side of that.
Yeah. 3rd and 5. Rodgers, fake toss, and he keeps it to the 39. He goes. Lost the ball at the end, recovers it. Tripped up by Briggs, but Aaron Rodgers, and that's sometimes overlooked about him.
Oh my!
The ability to run for a first down, and Urlacher is limping off the field.
He just posterized Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs together. Watch this. Right between the two of them, they run into each other. That is not supposed to happen from the quarterback position. Wow.
And on top of it, Urlacher has to go to the bench at least for one play. The ball is at the 39-yard line, first down. Starks to the 36 and back to the move by number 12.
Oh, man, watch this. 2 of the best tacklers, the 2 leading tacklers on the Chicago Bears, both completely fan and run into each other, and that ends up what hurts Brian Urlacher. Wow. Yeah. He's saying, not only do I avoid the headache, I made a highlight tape or 2.
That's 3 to 59.
2nd and 7.
319.
Incomplete, low, intended for Finley. 3rd down.
Let's take one more look here at the hit that Urlacher and Briggs have on each other. Helmet-to-helmet contact, and then Briggs seemed to hit the knee of Urlacher as well. And he's limping off after that one.
So Briggs in the game. Urlacher getting ready to come back into the game. 3rd down and 7. Over the middle, open his driver. And Donald D takes it to the 18-yard line. First down.
Well, it's a little different inside when Urlacher is not in there. You're going to see the linebacker dropping back, and there's always a hole right over the center if you have enough time to wait for that to develop in the field. That Tampa 2, the Mike linebacker, has to run deep. And so far tonight, this offensive line, for all the issues they're supposed to have, they've gotten the job done.
Drive started at the Packer 25-yard line. Again, Rodgers keeping it and taking it to the 16-yard line, and Rodgers upset because there was a blown assignment on that play again.
Yeah, James Starks has been out for a while, and I just think he went the wrong way on this player, and Rodgers did a good job of just getting whatever he could. Everybody, you could almost see Rodgers' eyes going, where are you going? But 2 busted run plays on the same drive, and it hasn't even slowed the Packers down yet. And Starks goes, yeah, I'm sorry, and then you're going to take the chewing out.
Well, know one thing, when he runs, it's not called by McCarthy. We said to Mike yesterday, how many times have you called a Rodgers run this year? He said, never. And that pass is incomplete, intended for Driver. Covered by Bowman, and that makes it 3rd down and 8.
You know, one of the things that the Bears do all the time is they fake these inside blitzes by their inside linebackers. You always see them kind of snuggling up in here, and the reason they do that is they want your backs to have to commit inside in case those linebackers come, and that puts the outside pass rushers, Julius Peppers, Israel Adonijah, more in one-on-one situations against unproven tackles.
No sacks in the game tonight for either team. 3rd down and 8. And Rodgers hit as he throws, but he gets it away, and it's caught by Jones, who scored the earlier touchdown, and he has a first down at the 7-yard line.
Well, it's not always a fake when they sugar those linebackers inside. That time, both inside backers come. Great job here by John Kuhn picking it up, and without those inside linebackers in coverage, now the middle of the field absolutely wide open. Another jump pass from Rodgers, and the drive stays alive.
First and goal, Rodgers already with 3 touchdown passes tonight. Starks on the ground. Next to nothing. Second and goal. Ticking down to 2.5 minutes to go. Third quarter, Green Bay trying to lock up the #1 seed in the NFC.
I'll tell you that Henry Melton inside for the Chicago Bears, I think, is going to end up being a star player in this league. 7 sacks already on the season, coming off of a shin injury. He played running back at the University of Texas. How athletic do you have to be a starting running back at Texas? Now playing that 3 technique inside. Very quick, very difficult to block.
I knew you were going to say that.
I did it just for you.
I know you did. It's the old Tommy Harris roll. Second down and goal. And Rodgers throws, and that's touchdown pass number 4. James Jones into the end zone again.
Quickest way to a Lambeau leap is the old back shoulder throw. Zach Bowman getting the start this game, and yet he's been attacked consistently, replacing Tim Jennings. But I don't know what you do against these guys. And for the Green Bay Packers, these receivers really did not have a very good day a week ago against Kansas City. Big bounce back game for all of them, playing much, much better in this one.
Mason Crosby with Green Bay's 28th point with 1:54 to go in the third quarter. Packers taking control over the Bears. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Bank of America, by the Droid Razor that is no longer frail, only at Verizon, by McDonald's, I'm loving it, and by Toyota. Earlier this month, Bears rookies hosting a holiday party for 500 people at Soldier Field to benefit deserving children and their families.
I thought John Madden was the only one that could do that.
Well, you've been on that bridge from Newport Beach to Honolulu, haven't you?
Many times, yes.
Paid that $5 toll. Takeoff fielded at the 5-yard line. Hester. And Devin gets taken out of bounds. Hester probably around 75% with that gimpy ankle to the 23.
What do MVP quarterbacks do when they see a coverage they like? Give a little signal to their wide receiver, in this case James Jones. A little snake eyes play. Going to be a back shoulder throw. Zach Bowman is looking inside. He looks away. He's got to cover the fade. And then he just puts it on the back shoulder. Not a lot you can do about it.
Snake eyes is normally good on don't pass, you know.
I threw that one in there for you, too.
I know you did. The 23-yard line on first down. This is Armando Allen to the 25-yard line.
Sang the national anthem at noon today, did you?
You bet. Christmas in Green Bay. Our illustrious crew. We thank our guys who we feel are the best in the business, top to bottom. Spending the holidays here in northern Wisconsin. Second down and 8 with the ball at the 25-yard line. Sidestep on McCown, and the pass intended for Williams is incomplete. Third down and 8. Well, we got the Winter Classic coming up. Rangers playing extremely well, as are the Flyers. And next Monday, from the home of the Philadelphia Phillies, in Philadelphia, the Winter Classic right here on NBC. Third down and 8. tip, picked off at the 45 by Charlie Pepra. And the Packers safety brings the ball back to the 34-yard line. Pass intended for Bennett, deflected, and Pepra with the pick.
Well, we talked about what the trailing defender on these middle reads have to do. Watch Woodson here. Do not go for the double move. Right underneath. McCown has to try and loft it in over the top. Just can't get it done, and Pepra, the beneficiary of that, comes up with the interception. So the Packers continue the trend this year. They have more interceptions than any team in the NFL. Clay Matthews had the big one earlier. Now it's Pepra with the next.
And they've done it despite losing Nick Collins, their great safety in the second game of the season. So Pepra moves back into the starting lineup. Did a good job there at the end of last season as well. First down, ball at the 33-yard line. And Rodgers for Nelson, who adjusts, gets position. Flag is thrown for the moment. It's a first down at the 8-yard line. And the interference call is going to go against Bowman.
I tell you, when you get it going the way that these two guys have it going.
Pass interference, defense, number 27. Penalty's been declined. Result of the play, first down.
Well, Bowman was there. They're going to call it on right. They announced his number anyway.
Yeah, what does Zach Bowman do? You can't cover anybody better than that. And then the ball comes, and it's that back shoulder. The only thing you really have a chance to do that he could have done better is turn around. But Aaron Rodgers, it's just one of those years, you know, and Jordy Nelson's having one of those years too.
Someone's apologizing.
Incredible.
They said 27, but the penalty was on Bowman 35. First and goal, the ball at the 8. Last half minute of the quarter. And Grant will take it to the 4-yard line. And the only people unhappy about this are the people in the north end zone, because they're going to have to look all the way down the field when the folks in the south end zone set up for what they hope will be another Green Bay touchdown in the Lambeau League.
It's Green Bay at Christmas time. Everybody's happy.
Right, both sides of the field. End of 3, 28-10, Packers. And Sunday Night Football on this Christmas night continues after these messages. Tonight's aerial coverage being brought to you by Geico. Lambeau Field on this Christmas night. Green Bay, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya from the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Steve Mariucci territory. The Upers. Second down and goal.
Pepper's been quiet tonight, hasn't he?
Yep, he has 99 career sacks, so one more puts him into triple figures, but haven't called his name very often. And that pass is intended for Jones, and the flag is thrown. So Jones looking for his third touchdown reception, and Bowman is going to be the recipient of a second pass interference call on this drive.
He must have grabbed his arm on the way down.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding, defense, number 37, half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
I think it's 35. I think it's Bowman. Right out here. And I think he just grabbed him off the release. And for Bowman, this has not been fun tonight.
Except for the fact that the last two penalties against him have been called on 27 and 37. And each one's been on him.
Does that qualify as good news?
I suppose. Take it where you can find it. First and goal. Grant behind Kuhn. Pass to Nelson. And he holds it in. Touchdown.
Well, if you're going to give it to him, they're going to take it. You leave him one-on-one, he's going to throw it 100% of the time. And poor Zach Bowman's been left on an island all night long out there. There's nobody around. I don't think he can believe it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers can believe they're leaving his guys one-on-one on the outside down around the goal line. But these QB stats are getting to be record-breaking numbers, and not much of this season left.
It's his 5th touchdown pass of the night. It's the 3rd 2-yard touchdown pass he has thrown. And Crosby converts to make the score Green Bay 35, Chicago 10. Sunday Night Football brought to you by the W, Wendy's new double cheeseburger, by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, by Panasonic VR HD TVs. It's the picture quality that matters most. And by Allstate, shop less, get more. Scenes around Green Bay, home of the Packers, one of the iconic franchises in the history of the National Football League. Right now in position to make another run at a Super Bowl championship as Devin Hester comes out of the end zone and it's bumped out of bounds into the Chicago bench up at about the 32. So in the 2 games this year, there's Rodgers against Chicago. 3 touchdown passes, all to Finley in week 3. And then tonight, those numbers. And that came after a first drive that was near perfect, then 3 3-and-outs. And then they put it together toward the end of the first half. And, you know, I mean, it's one of those nights where there's nothing but big smiles on the Packer bench. And when you reach the point where you got a lead like that, you got the backup quarterback who starts to warm up, and that's Matt Flynn. Williams makes the catch before he is taken out of bounds by Morgan Burnett.
I'll tell you what's so impressive to me, though, about Aaron Rodgers is that he just doesn't turn the football over. You know, the lack of interceptions, the mobility. We saw him make that incredible run, splitting the Bears linebackers. He's not losing the football, and when you can put up the kind of numbers throwing the ball and not have those turnovers, it's tough to beat these Packers.
That was a major point of emphasis when McCarthy came in, as Bell takes it across the 50-yard line. You go back to, you know, clearly the Favre era here when the gunslinger was tremendous, and will go to the Hall of Fame. We know that. But take a look at that. From 04 through 07, his last 4 years, 79 picks. Rodgers half as many. And about half as many turnovers overall since Rodgers took over the helm in 2008. And McCarthy made that a point of emphasis, and fewer penalties, and that has been the case. Bell to the 47. Mike McCarthy, you know, for a guy who's already won a Super Bowl championship and has had a lot of success, one of the, I don't want to say lesser known coaches, but a guy who grew up in Western Pennsylvania, was a toll taker on the Pennsylvania Turnpike to earn a few bucks as he was a graduate assistant at the University of Pittsburgh. There's Ted Thompson, who got to know McCarthy. McCarthy was here for 1 year as a quarterbacks coach in '99 under Ray Rhodes. 3rd and 4. And that will be caught for a first down as Kellen Davis, the big tight end, makes the catch.
I'll tell you what impresses me about McCarthy is the humanity of the man. You know, he's just a guy kind of feel when he walks in the room, and very soft-spoken, but he was talking about Nick Collins, his outstanding safety, and he was talking about what a tough decision, almost a fatherly decision they were going to have to make on Collins. They certainly don't want to jeopardize him in any way, but he was such a great player. Can he come back and can he be healthy? But he had a much bigger picture view of that situation than just, I've got a great player, I want to get back. He was concerned about him as a person, as a father, as a husband.
Mike has 5 kids himself. The oldest is 20. The youngest is 4 months. Speaking of Collins, there is Nick. And we hope to see him back in a uniform next year. So the question is, can his career resume? 2nd down and 1 from the 26. And it's dumped off on the outside. That's going to be enough for a first down. Tyler Crooks, the fullback, tackled by Clay Matthews. Well, they named streets and boulevards after you and stadiums. Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi, Mike Holmgren, and they're going to name a street after McCarthy. When he said, hey, can you wait at least until the end of the season?
What else are they going to call it? You know, what is it? Holmgren Way, and you know they have all these different names. All the championships they've won around here, they've just about run out of ways to name them after their coach.
There's another one they may name part of the interstate after him. Under the outside, that pass is caught inbound, so signaled at the 15-yard line by Kellen Davis.
Well, the Packers do tend to go to Super Bowls in pairs. You think of the first two, of course, under Lombardi, and then with Brett later on, winning one and losing one. See if this one's in or not.
Well, McCarthy has one challenge left.
Looked like the catch was clean.
Right. Question about the feet. McCarthy does not drop the flag. And McCown to the outside he goes with a balloon floating through your picture. And to the 12-yard line, first down.
You have to say that Josh McCown has done a nice job with this team. He really has. You take away the one interception that you could talk about with Clay Matthews, and here's Matthews, sort of been his nightmare tonight out there, keeping him in play again. But as far as a guy coming off of being a high school football coach and playing on national TV, pretty good.
And Bell staying on his feet. And Bell, who's already over 100 yards tonight, to the 3-yard line goes Khalil. 121 yards on 22 attempts.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Khalil Bell's been better than pretty good. He has been bouncing off of would-be tacklers time after time tonight. A very impressive performance by him tonight. I think he's going to get a much longer look. His only issue is that ball does tend to get away from him, and he did lose one on the goal line earlier tonight.
And got away with it. Recovered by the lineman Williams on second down and 1. This is the 10th play of this drive. McCown will take the ball for a first down to the 1-yard line. Matthews is there to make the stop. It'll be first down and goal for Chicago.
It's amazing where Matthews can come from and make plays. He was completely out of this. He's rushing up the field. McCown takes off and runs straight for the goal line, and he's able to get back to this somehow and make the tackle before he gets to the end zone. I mean, those two angles were not equal. Papa in the stands, he was a nightmare for us in Cincinnati. I know that.
Playing with the Cleveland Browns, and this is Bell, and Bell tries to get in, but is a little bit short with 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
That Desmond Bishop, who's making himself known again in this game. You had Roberto Garza, the center, pulling out, and Bishop just took him out. I think the elbow's down right there, which is why it's marked just short.
Second down and goal. This drive has consumed almost 7 minutes. Play action. Rolling and finds the open man, and that's Kellen Davis in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So they don't go to Davis all night until this drive. He catches 3 for 21 yards and the 6 points here.
Watch Edwin Williams pull out in front here and get just enough of Clay Matthews to allow McCown to scramble around. I'll say one thing for Mike Martz. Not afraid to call passes with anybody. It's a heck of a drive.
6:59 of the Bears. They're down by 19, so they're still, no matter what happens here, it's a 3-possession game, and now if they don't get the playoff here, they're going to go for 2. They're going to run out of time. There's some question as to whether they would go for 1 or for 2. Even if you make the 2-point conversion, you're still down by 3 possessions. Quarterback draw, and he gets into the end zone, and he does a little half spike. It's off the rim. It's a rim shot, and it's 35-18.
I don't know who's going to like that less, this crowd or Bob Costas.
Doc Rivers likes it. Based on the John Grisham novel, comes a thrilling new series to NBC, The Firm, beginning January the 8th, 9 Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central and Mountain, right here on the Peacock. Well, the Green Bay Packers expecting an onside kick. They have everybody up at around the 45-yard line, and just one man deep back at the 15.
Usually the first wave tries to take out the Packers, and then somebody trails behind to get the ball, and vice versa on the other side.
And Robbie Gould will send one down into a zone where nobody is, but it then goes out of bounds at the 32-yard line. And not exactly what the Chicago Bears had in mind. 35-18 Green Bay.
I'm Julie Wells, and this is Lola, Jackson, Kingston, and Scott. And we want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
From the Wells family, and there he is talking to Mike McCarthy the other day about any guys on this team overlooked, and the first guy he mentioned was Scott Wells. And on first down, here is Grant taking it to the 50-yard line with Matt Flynn now at quarterback for Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the guy they're going to talk about next week is TJ Lang and the job that he's doing on the outside with this offensive line. This was a major question coming into the game. McCarthy was definitely had the feeling that he was going to have to leave some help over there on that side, and yet no sacks in the ball game whatsoever for this Packers offensive line. Josh Sitton coming back from injury, Evan Dietrich Smith filling in, Marshall Newhouse, a nice job, and of course we just talked about Scott Wells. Very impressive performance tonight.
2nd and 1. And that'll move the chains, Grant. Well, we saw Flynn last year. He played in that Sunday night game after Rodgers had sustained a concussion the prior week against Detroit. And he turned in a pretty good performance that night in Foxborough. That was a great game until the very end. And Matt Flynn's the kind of guy that he gets an audition here, and teams around the league are going to look at this guy, and he may wind up with a pretty good free agent contract at some point.
Yeah, it could be, but I think that was the last game that the Packers lost, right?
It was.
Went on the streak.
Before last week.
Of course, right.
Well, it was the Sunday night in Foxborough with a Dan Connolly run back for New England, the seminal moment in that game. No game here for the running back, Mr. Grant.
Well, Zach Bowman took over for Tim Jennings at the cornerback slot, and they left him alone a lot of one-on-one coverage on the outside. He was beaten on 2 slants and 1 little fade stop on the outside. But really, you can't expect a whole lot more than that when you have the MVP of the league, Aaron Rodgers, throwing the football. You just have to sort of pick your poison out here. Eventually, somebody's going to get one-on-one, and James Jones on this team is really the 3rd or 4th threat, so you got to try and play him in man coverage. But tonight, James Jones has been great.
Here's Brandon Sane, the number 3 running back, who looks like anything but here. To the 41-yard line goes the rookie out of Ohio State.
Well, we talked a little bit about Henry Melton earlier in the game. Right here, watch the run through, the speed, the former running back. Remember we were talking about that? It looks like a running back there. Now up to 290 pounds. Very impressive young player. They think that so much of the key to this Bears defense is having that guy playing that Tommy Harris position that you alluded to earlier. And they think they found him.
I mean, that 3 technique, right?
That's what you said.
3rd down and 3. And Flynn slips. And that'll make it 4th down.
That's called a bootleg, and if you throw it, you're fired play. His job was to run the clock and burn a timeout.
And Chicago takes that timeout. Get the best analysis about the NFL and its players with Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk on NBCSports.com. And the fantasy season is not over. Play the NFL.com playoff challenge at NFL.com/fantasy. That's the atrium, part of the renovation at Lambeau Field a number of years ago. Rented out, weddings and parties and all kinds of stuff there. Meanwhile, back to punt is Tim Mastay.
But the punt returner came screaming up to take a shot at that block.
Yeah.
I think I've ever seen that before.
And nobody is back there, and that will bound to a stop somewhere around the 10-yard line. In fact, right on it. With 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Rodgers over the last 3 seasons. And of course, this season is just over the moon for him tonight. Little punctuation mark with 5 touchdowns, no picks, 21 of 29 for 283.
I don't know if you saw that little number on the bottom, but Peyton Manning has the all-time QB rating number about 121 point something, and right now if the season ends today, Aaron Rodgers would break that record.
Or if he doesn't play next week.
He may not.
73 offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Jamarcus Webb.
Well, and of course tonight assures the Green Bay Packers that if somebody's going to stop them from going back to the Super Bowl and defend their title, they're going to have to beat them here. They are locking in the #1 seed throughout the playoffs with this win here tonight.
And the other thing that happens is that the Atlanta Falcons are guaranteed a postseason spot by virtue of Chicago's loss tonight. So Atlanta takes on New Orleans in the Monday night game, and the Falcons will be going to the playoffs. Meaning, of course, there's just one playoff spot left, and it's the Cowboys and the Giants. The winner goes on to the playoffs and will host a game the following weekend. The NFC East champion will have it on Sunday Night Football 1 week from tonight. On 2nd down and 8, that pass is caught by Sanzenbacher up at the 33-yard line. You know, it's such an aberration right now. We talked about the yardage that Green Bay has gained and given up this season. At this moment in time, Green Bay has now allowed more yardage over the course of the season than they've gained. And here they are on the cusp of going 14-1.
That's impossible.
It seems to be, doesn't it?
You know, but the turnovers, it's the interceptions, you know, they'll bend but don't break. It's happened again tonight.
And it's Williams making the catch up at the 49-yard line.
Well, let's give Josh McCown some credit. This was a beautifully thrown ball here. Drops it in right over the top. Sam Shields thought he had perfect coverage, and McCown just made a better throw. That's a good night for McCown. You know, a couple interceptions, but for a guy coming off the high school playing field, that's pretty good.
And that's caught by Bell. A lot of consternation in Chicago because they felt that the team had not done enough to back Cutler up, even though Caleb Haney had played well in the NFC Championship game last year. And there is Cutler, who misses his 5th straight game. So one of the things that Bear fans were upset about was they didn't have a backup. Haney wasn't the guy, as it turned out. McCown goes to the 35-yard line.
But you know, Caleb Haney, after what he did in that championship game, if they had removed him as the backup quarterback, people would have gone berserk. I mean, there were some people that were talking about, oh boy, he should get a starting opportunity with somebody, and I think it really stunned everybody in Chicago that he wasn't more effective than he was.
And remember, they tried to get Kyle Orton back, but because Kansas City had an inferior record, they wound up getting him when he was out there. And this is McCown taking it to the 30-yard line. Let's face it, in Chicago, they'd like to see Sid Luckman come out of the crypt.
There's a lot of speculation about other possible quarterbacks. Sid wasn't one of them. But how about these two guys? They'd have looked pretty good in a Bears uniform. We would have had 4, 5, and 6 on the roster.
There you go. There was some talk about Favre. There was some talk about McNabb when he was let go by Minnesota. 2:20 to the half as McNown throws to the outside. And that's Sanzenbacher. And they'll come all the way across the field and take the ball to the 11-yard line. And Chicago tonight with 438 yards. And this is going to take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes remaining on Christmas night at Lambeau. 35-18 Green Bay. Could hardly be better than that. Next week, Giants Cowboys from the Meadowlands. Coming up, Michelle with an interview. Bob, Tony, and Mike taking a look at the updated playoff picture. We'll take a look ahead to next week's game that will wrap up the regular season. McCarthy now has challenged the play, even though we're at the 2-minute warning. That play took place before the 2-minute warning. And so if we go back and take a look at Sanzenbacher making what was ruled a catch, but the ground is helping him control the ball, as you can see here. Has it, and it bounces, which helps him regain control of the ball.
Did the ball ever go out of his control? Because it can touch the ground. We know that rule by now.
Right.
So if he caught it and it didn't move once it hit the ground, then it would be a catch. If not, then it wouldn't be. And as Kelly Hayes says up here, it's Christmas. Give it to him.
Give it to him, right?
Yeah.
Give it to him. It was a 1st down and 10 at the 30-yard line. And we'll have more time on the clock, which means we're going to have another 2-minute warning eventually.
I kind of like that Sanzenbacher. He's made a couple of nice plays tonight.
See, I think that, it looks to me as if the ground helps him control it. And if that is the case, if that's what John Parry sees as well, it'll be overturned. But then again, how's your 3 technique? Let's explain this. We laugh about this. A 3 technique tackle lines up in a gap, right? It's real simple. In other words, he's the guy who lines up between the guard and the tackle.
Remember that you're dealing with football players. None of this is very complicated.
Correct.
So the first gap between the center and the guard is the 1 technique, right?
And if you line up on the center, it's the 0 technique.
Right. If you line up right over the guard, that's a 2 technique. If you line up between the guard and tackle, that's a 3 technique. It's a very simple game. Believe me.
Oh, I get it. Believe me.
There's a lot of sleepy guys in those morning meetings. They're not going to do anything complex. The 3 technique is the 3rd thing over there.
We live in a world, though, where there's so much airtime to fill. When guys go into the 3 technique, I'm going, hold on a second.
I know.
Does anybody know what you're talking about?
After reviewing the play, it's an incomplete pass. The right hand of the receiver did not have full control of the ball prior to the ball touching the ground. It'll be 2nd down. Please reset the game clock to 2:17. Green Bay is not charged with the timeout.
It'll be 2nd and 10. And of course, then we'll go to the 9 technique, the wide 9 next. But there it is, as he explains, the ground in effect, and you almost have a face mask there as well. And back we go to 2:17. So you can turn back the clock there.
Oh, we did indeed. Again. Looking forward to turning back the clock and watching the Giants and Cowboys one more time. That was a great game in Dallas.
What a way to end the season in a winner-take-all situation. McCown to the 22-yard line. So folks in Chicago were saying, wait a minute, McCown, which McCown? That McCown? The other McCown, Luke McCown, Cade McNown. You name it. But in any event, the Chicago Bears acquitted themselves quite nicely tonight, and we have reached the 2-minute warning. And we're staying here. Okay, that's right. We've already taken the 2-minute break. We're right on format.
Well, what do you think?
Yep.
Somebody going to beat the Green Bay Packers this year? It's going to be tough. If you catch a night like this, if you're talking about the 49ers are the one team that I think could travel to this kind of weather and play well. They're not as dependent on throwing the ball around. We heard the conversation about Drew Brees and a dome team. Could they come out in cold weather and do it. But, you know, Drew Brees played at Purdue. So, yeah, and he played a championship game against Chicago, so he's had a little experience.
And the Saints have a running game this year, which they didn't have last year. And that cost them in the playoffs when they lost in the wild card round to Seattle.
And really, it's the Green Bay Packers that have question marks with their running game, probably more than either one of those other two teams.
3rd down and 3 with 2 minutes to play. And that is caught by Sanzenbacher. And that will move the chains. 1st down at the 17-yard line.
Still firing their blitzes in there. Charles Woodson coming out of the secondary. Again, the Green Bay Packers obviously do not want to give up this touchdown. They're trying to protect their defense the best they can and prove they're that bend but don't break team.
And those numbers, I mean, it's astonishing to think that a team can allow more yardage than gain and be on the verge of going 14-1. Full start.
False start, number 68. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Bears going to Minnesota next week, and that will wrap up the season for them.
I tell you, if I had a concern about the Green Bay Packers at this point, to me, it would be their lack of pass rush. Teams can pay so much attention to Clay Matthews now because they're not getting pressure from anywhere else. And that would bother me going forward.
1st and 15, and now you've got McCown going to the 11-yard line. Packers tonight, no turnovers, no penalties. It's a pretty good recipe, huh?
That usually works.
Once again.
2nd and 6. And no flag on that. Intended for Sanzenbacher, covered by Williams. 3rd down and 6. You know what's an interesting game here is next week Detroit comes in here. And nobody's going to want to show their hand because they may wind up, I mean, it's conceivable that Detroit has to come back here in January now that they are in the playoffs.
And how about the show Detroit put on yesterday, demolishing San Diego, who the week before we watched take apart the Baltimore Ravens, who many people think are the best team in the AFC.
That's why nobody knows anything.
Correct.
3rd and 6. And McNabb to the outside, and then is almost picked off by Shields. Jumping the route, it'll be 4th down.
I'll tell you, that Sam Shields, I thought last year the play of these corners at the end of the season was really the difference in the team. Sam Shields came up so big. Wasn't it the championship game that he had the 2 interceptions and really sealed that victory? If they can, with the corner play and the play on the back end, if they can get the pass rush going for the playoffs, it'll be tough again.
30-yard attempt will be good for the minute and 11, and that makes it a 2-possession game at 35-21. And let's check in with Michelle.
You know, guys, one of the big questions for the Bears this offseason is what to do with Matt Forte. I spoke to him tonight. You know, what are they going to franchise him? Are they going to give him a contract? And he says there have been no discussions at this point. And he said if the Bears franchise him, he doesn't think that is a solution. He said, yes, it's a pay raise, but it's a 1-year deal. And as a running back, you want, 4 or 5 years. He said, if they franchise me, so be it. If not, I feel comfortable in saying that another team will sign me. I asked if any other teams had shown interest. He was hesitant to answer, but he reiterated, you know what? If the Bears don't sign me or franchise me, I feel very comfortable saying somebody else will.
Well, thank you, Michelle. That has been an ongoing issue in Chicago right from the get-go this season. Forte, clearly one of the best backs in the league and the guy who stays in on every down, the complete player. And obviously that has been a sore subject, and then sure enough, the guy winds up hurting himself toward the end of the season.
Exactly what he's talking about. And you know, the players can't be upset by it. I mean, they had a chance to try and take out the franchise tag in their collective bargaining negotiations. I'm sure they wanted to. They couldn't get it done. The owners weren't going to give that away, and the owners do a great job moving that franchise tag as they're negotiating with their star players to keep some of those contracts under control.
Onside kick has to go 10 yards, and it bounds out of bounds. So once again, you got Robbie Gould trying to give Chicago possession on the onside and
Kick
gluing
off
the ball out of bounds.
Kick contained, ball be placed at the spot of the foul.
And that will pretty much take care of it here because the Bears have one timeout. Mike Martz, the former head coach of the St. Louis Rams, and there he is on the right. Of course, he's been under some fire in Chicago because of not necessarily what happened with Cutler earlier this year. They were playing pretty well, but what's gone on since.
He thinks they're going to be really good next year, and I think he's right. They were 7-3 when Cutler got hurt. Forte hurt after that. They're going to get Gabe Carimi, their #1 draft pick, back. They're going to get Chris Williams, a former #1 draft pick, back. Get a little help at wide receiver maybe, and Jay Cutler should have some fun with this offense. I don't think he's going anywhere either. I think Mike Martz will be there.
Well, the Bears start the season with a win over Atlanta. They go to 2-3. They win 5 in a row, and now they've lost 5 in a row. Going to 7-8 and on to Minnesota next week, and Green Bay wraps up its season here against Detroit. They have a week off, and the only thing to be determined now in the NFC is the winner of the NFC East and whether Atlanta or Detroit will be the 5, with the other being the 6. And there you have it, 14 wins, most in franchise history. Of course, in the Lombardi era, they were playing 12-game seasons, and then they played 14 for a while. So 14-1 is the Packer mark as they wrap up the #1 seed in the National Football Conference. And last year, on their way to the Lombardi Trophy, they did